This is the date of the first true attempt. Machine is ready to create sunfire here on Earth by fusion. April 1st, 2012. In biblical terms, simply because it's relevant, the end prophecy of Daniel 12 interpreted states, from the time a religion loses its primary power, which is university knows everything, has replaced it, to the day when extreme arrogance establishes cause to believe this whole world really now can die. The attempt to ignite an atomic fire, which is the burning of atoms here on Earth, exists, even to the ridicule of its first attempt on April Fool's Day. Daniel writes there will be 1290 days before the end of life can come. That time has passed, leaving the question, what then is the 1335 days which comes next? There are several parts to the end of the world prophecies in Daniel 12. Someone who protects or demands life must come first will arise. Great distress in a way this world has never seen before will happen, as is overpopulation, threats of extinction, etc. People will choose what is truly most important to them. What is the first in your life? What is most important? The masses who are blind, deaf and dumb to the realities of what has been, and is being done against this world, shall suddenly know better and choose their eternal fate. Those who are wise will arise to lead with understanding. The writer or messenger of this time shall not interfere. The prophecy then goes on describing there will be a divide among people. As they deal with the situation, this is not a game, becomes true to them. Prophecy then establishes someone will come who clearly can be considered a messenger of God. Prophecy continues with above the waters, which represents untouchable by the powers that control this life, or as water is the most distinct physically known power aiding life on Earth. That messenger lives for God by this prophecy. The prophecy then has this messenger declare the length of days from the time of this prophecy to its conclusion will be a time, times, and a half a time. The first time represents the power of the Old Testament in the Bible, its control over people by law, being slightly more than 2,000 years. Times represents the length that the Old and New Testaments shall share their power, walking together, so to speak, which is a period of slightly more than 2,000 years. The New Testament representing mercy and love and eternity. And the half time is the potential for an additional 1,000 years. This enables the question, when belief is discarded, there is only room for faith. The difference is you can believe anything you want, but where there is faith, it lives only through respect for what is true and evident, as is the reality of God. That evidence begins with nature, planet, order, balance, structure, discipline, respect to your own body, and Jesus, which means choose better, as well as his message for life on this earth. Or more simply, the days when you can believe anything you want are over. The reality of this situation is you must choose faith by accepting what is true, thinking for yourself, and accepting that your decision as your own truth, thereby letting truth lead, is required. The prophecy says of its day, not now. The reality of our day is now. So the first question is, since we have passed by and entered extreme human arrogance, what does the 1290 days mean? The reality conforms to the development of the Bible itself, as there is an Old Testament defined by laws and sacrifice, which then becomes the question of 1290 days by law. Asking what will you do, being presented with this information. Throughout humanity that was informed of the people who are trying to ignite fire on Earth, an atomic fire on Earth, a fire just like on the sun, which we cannot extinguish, they all said, every single one, that I will wait and see. Even though reality and truth prove once ignition occurs, our world dies without the possibility of change. No more second chances. Or more simply, humanity fails the law and refuses to sacrifice even the tiniest penny to save this world. One and all, as a variety of people were informed in a variety of ways, by reference, humanity itself has been declared unanimous. The university is your God or your fear. So the second 1335 days, as is representative of the New Testament, is a time of mercy, asking, will you not recognize the reality of this situation and choose, for life must come first instead. This is no game. So we add 1290 days plus 1335 days to equal 2625 days before the verdict for this earth upon humanity is final. Earth then lives or dies by the choices people have made. April 1st, 2012 plus 2625 days becomes a date when judgment actually occurs by this prophecy, which is 7 years and 20 days later. That would be 4/21/2019. Prophecy does not suggest whether the earth is dead as of that date, but it does state whatsoever the decision is, it cannot be reversed at that time. Whether as a world you can or will believe yourself safe until that moment depends upon your religion and beliefs. As a reality, however, the ignition of an atomic fire, which will consume this entire world, can come at any moment on any given day. It does not need to wait. However, God can delay it, and you don't know if He will or not. You don't. Nor do I. Simple and plain, it's His choice. As to the constant mutilation of genetic life, which is nature on earth, the crucifixion of every living thing coming without a doubt by overpopulation and all that university does, that too can only get worse with avoidance. The sooner you start, the better it will be, because reality is reality, and the prophecy does not indicate any mercy other than you will be abandoned or saved to try again in the situation you have created for yourselves. One way or the other means judgment can literally go either way. The book of Revelation is a prophecy which ends or extends the time following judgment. It has the potential of man remaining in charge, which is the first part of Revelation. Life ends and it gives no option to survive. Or, if the second part rules, which begins in chapter 12, as a woman will become in charge of man, the reality that must occur for human life, because without truly different than today, which is, this is a man's world, this is the best they did do, there can be no possibility for better. Men believe their power is an army, and its weapons, and its death. That is not a solution for this day. Therefore, it will be extermination from our planet. Women are different, which means the future can be different under their leadership. Yet there is no pattern to prove what they would choose. Only the reality they know as majority, their only real power within the law is the law. Law represents a chance to survive. We must respect, discipline, and order this world with fair and just law. There is no other way to survive. So says life itself. You must make your own decision to intervene and change what must be changed, or not. Eternity is awaiting. I continue with Revelation 10:1. This is a King James Version. And I saw another angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. That interpretation is, an angel is a truth. It's always a truth. This description fits an atomic fire ignition, wherein the cloud is created by extreme vacuuming, as is consistent with the updraft of a 10 million degree flame, generating roughly wind currents at 1,000 miles per hour or more. Everything is being sucked in, including people. And the mass more or less rises to the top as clutter until it's actually burned. It does not fully enter into the flame itself. The rainbow is a covenant broken by the choices of men. Or more simply, colors will be present in the water sucked in as the oceans begin to disappear. It will be burned first, as soon as the fire touches it, or gets close. If you are biblically religious, then you read Genesis 18 to 19 as a reality check of what may be expected. Survival is not a game. Life is going to change on this planet permanently, one way or the other. So says the evidence of every threat against us. There are many. So says the reality of choices by which we could at least conceive of a possibility to survive. That is not a game. That is our reality. There is no wait and see. The ignition of an atomic fire is forever. You can't put out a 10 million degree flame that burns atoms. It's impossible. Take a look at the sun. You are involved. This is life or death for a world that includes us all. Therefore, you have absolutely no excuses allowed. These choices, this reality we live in today, is forever. We have to make an eternal choice for this our world. So don't be led. Do think for yourself. This is your eternity you're deciding, and there are no excuses allowed. Let this be your own decision, because why should you die from anyone else's choice? Make your own decision without reference to anyone or anything else. This is your decision, and it does become your eternity. Because the world is not a game, and neither is life.